And welcome. Welcome, everyone. It's Angelo Robles. Welcome to my @Family office. For my members of SFO Continuity, a special welcome. It is early in the week. I'm doing the live. I am off to New York City to host my AI Family Office Masterclass tomorrow, and I can't wait. But today, I have something that I've been building up towards. I have a truckload of show notes. Everyone is going to disagree with me. And I say, bring it on, including those of you in the near future at any time, at least digitally, want to debate me on this. The $1 billion lie. Why 50 million now runs a real single family office. Without further ado, shall we begin? There's actually more potential at 50 million than a billion. I'll prove it. I need to be open by correcting someone. Me. A couple of years ago, if you asked me, not a banker, not a consultant, me, what it takes to run a real single family office, I would have told you $500 million, maybe 750 million to do it right. I said it in rooms across multiple continents. I said it to families who trusted my judgment. And I believed it because for the entire history of the industry, it was kind of true, but not anymore. And I wanted to be precise about exactly what changed. It's not any one thing, several. The facts changed. Two things specifically stand out. The U.S. Tax Court decision in 2017, don't worry, international families, indirectly, this will apply to you, that handed families a structural blueprint that the establishment never advertised, and a collapse in the price of intelligence over the last 3 years that most of this industry is nowhere near close to absorbing. So when The Economist, the institutional investors, and the billion-dollar family office executives tell you that a family office, let's bring it up a little bit, starts at $1 billion, and they will. Hey, I'd rather start at $1 billion too. Understand my position. I don't just disagree with their argument. I know their argument by heart because I used to make it. Here's what the next hour, grab that Ovaltine, cup of chocolate, tea, whatever you want. It's going to be kind of long, and I got scattered notes. We're all in trouble. A family worth 50 to 100 million can today run a genuine single family office, full privacy, full control, full command of the money. Nothing else could give you that at a level of speed and capability most billion-dollar family offices can't match and probably never will, because the thing stopping them is the thing that they're proudest of. Everything they already built. Is there still a floor? Yeah, it's at least 10, 20 million, probably 30 million or more. The structures may not yet carry their own weight at that level, but at 50 to 100, the debate is over. I've spent over 20 years inside the ecosystem of well over 100 incredible global families. I know exactly what their family office did well, and I know exactly where, bodies are always buried. The old minimum was never a law of nature. It was really more of a payroll number, and the payroll just died. So ask the question the whole structure rests on, because I'm coming in hot tonight. Why stand up a single family office at all? Not really to hold assets. A bank custodian does that for a fee. You build one so that this generation, it varies by family. I'm going to go on this one as the lead. This generation learns. The next one does not have to learn from scratch. It's your private financial empire. Strip it to the studs. What is a single family office actually? Not an investment firm, not a wealth manager with better stationery. Not one more advisor in yet another nicer suit or sports jacket. It's your private wealth empire the control center behind the wealth and wealth in all its meaning. Look at how the people at the very top actually operate. Amazon's Bezos, his family office is his control center. Tesla made Musk, well, really famous. His family office is what makes him hard to touch. Berkshire is Buffett's public face. The private structure behind it is kind of the fortress. Every billionaire you've heard of runs one. And the industry has spent decades convincing you that you need, again, whatever, $500 million to deserve what they have. They didn't discover a law economics. Always remember that. Honestly, they built, maybe people like me did too, kind of a velvet rope. Behind the rope, the big three. The three things this structure has always been about. And we're going long, hard, and pretty deep tonight. Sit back, get the popcorn, and enjoy. The three things you cannot buy from any outside provider at any price. I'm probably going to burn some bridges too. A single family office exists for exactly one reason: to carry, a little bit of a play on words to what I said earlier, to carry a family's capability across generations. So think about it. Privacy, a core tenement, kind of a big three. Privacy, your wealth becomes invisible. Your holdings, your transactions, your family's internal affairs stop circulating through a bank's back office, a wealth manager's client base, a conference cocktail hour. Your business becomes your business, period. Control. You become the puppeteer, not the puppet. Every investment decision flows through you. Every fee justifies its existence to you. Every strategy serves the vision. You stop hoping your advisor has your interest at heart. You know the incentives because you built them. And customization. Wrapping up the big three, your wealth works exactly how you want it. Unconventional convictions, it's okay. Build a portfolio you actually believe in. Optimizing for great grandchildren, go ahead. Structure everything for 100 years out, your rules, your goals. It's your legacy. The big three: privacy, control, and customization. I'm going to add a fourth because it seems like the brochures always skip it. Perpetuity. Structures that survive any single person. One of the reasons why my private community is called SFO Continuity. Continuity being the key word. Don't get me wrong. An individual that has no matter 50 million, 50 billion, $500 billion, they're still going to need to deal, knowing when to rent versus own, with outside resources, including legal and accounting, and definitely bank and custodial. Others as well, cybersecurity, GP. There's some that are very talented and needed, and you may be better off not building that internally for a variety of reasons. And again, in a debate in the future, and I've done one or two of these before, but it's been maybe a year or so. But now, with what's happening with intelligence, it's even getting stronger in terms of what I'm going to talk about. So I'm not disrespecting those that commit to the community, that serve the community. You're needed. Some of you are, of course, by nature, better than others. But to not face the reality and how things are changing, that the single family office is the ultimate, if done right, in privacy, control, and customization. And yes, we'll take more hands-on commitment. All things within a, well, by my standards, a quasi-reasonable time frame that we're going to go over tonight. So knowledge that transfers across generations instead of dying commonly with the founder. Imagine systems that get smarter every year. The difference between rich for now and wealthy in continuity for much longer. Beneath all of it kind of sits the truth that I don't think anyone in wealth management will say to your face. So I'll say it for them. Honestly, nobody on earth cares about your wealth in all its forms, your family, your legacy, the way that you do. Otherwise, like, what's wrong with you? They can't. To some degree, it's structural. Their children don't depend on your decisions. Their grandchildren won't live with your outcomes. Not an accusation, simply incentive physics. Proximity is not loyalty. A fee relationship is not a bloodline. And yet, it is why a team dedicated to your family and only your family, 24/7, 168 hours a week, technically, is the ultimate arrangement in private wealth. It always was. The only thing wrong with it was effectively the price, the velvet rope. Now, hold that thought, because the price is kind of the whole story. What is your current arrangement costing you? Be honest about what you have now, because the case for the family office is only what you gain. It's kind of what you're bleeding. You could run your own arithmetic. It's going to vary by family. Even a family at 75 million, between banking relationships, all advisory fees, fund fees, product markups, tax inefficiencies, lack of synchronization, no real coordination, even if you think there is, typically probably 1.5 to 2% easily every year due to multiplication. 7 figures annually, compounding against you for quarterly meetings and a glossy book. Now that's the visible bill. The invisible bill is like a different story. Your children learn to be consumers of wealth, never creators of it. They see advisors, but they never see leadership. They inherit distributions and dependence. We all know the long-term phrase, which I do not perfectly agree with, but shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves in 3 generations. Really, lack of purchasing power to purchasing power over the generations. People quote it like it's the weather, like it's something that just happens to other families, unlucky ones. It's not the weather. It kind of, to some, is what it is. The assets transferred, the judgment didn't. And assets without judgment is not true wealth. There's a countdown there with a nice statement behind it. Your family's unity erodes into a payout calendar with a surname, siblings who convene only at advisor presentations, decisions that happen to the family, but never with it, right? And your legacy dissolves into other people's products. When your advisor understands your wealth better than your heirs do, your values are not, debate me, not being transmitted. The vision dies with you. What survives is a number and a trust, but not a living legacy. The industry has kind of convinced you that this is normal. I don't think it is. It's the predictable output of a system where everyone at the table, except you, gets paid whether your family thrives or not. A family office isn't just about, and often not even a top 3, saving in fees, but it gets your attention. It's up there. The family office is about saving families. Now, the old math, to me, and why it died. So why did everyone say, whatever, let's go with $500 million? Not really from principle, more from payroll. Think about it. The traditional family office was a staffing model wearing what? Investment strategy, analysts, portfolio managers, a comptroller, accountants, reporting staff, operations, compliance, salaries, benefits, turnover, politics, key person risk. You needed enormous assets before the machine justified its own weight. That was my old argument, and kind of at the time, I guess it was correct. It was an artifact of what intelligence cost when intelligence only came in human form. So the question, kind of a question that changed my mind. What happens to the minimum when the price of intelligence collapses? Because it has. And here's the arithmetic that should probably keep the traditionalist awake. There are, I tell you, I'm coming in hot, and some of you aren't going to like this. Maybe I'm wrong. Bring it on. There are 168 hours in a week. A human professional gives you 50 in a heroic week, minus meetings, vacations, distractions, the resignation letter that walks your institutional knowledge out the door to a competitor. The machine works all 168 hours. It never forgets. It never quits. It compounds. The gap between what intelligence cost for the entire history of wealth management and what it costs like today is the largest structural arbitrage in private wealth. And understand what the collapse did to kind of the old family offices, because this is the part that their own children kind of have already figured out. Listen, the family office of 2005 existed. Think about this, because its services were scarce. Again, I've been in this industry a long time. Consolidated reporting, manager access. Remember when that was a thing? Deal flow, research, coordination. If you wanted those, you built them because you couldn't buy them. By now, in 2026, nearly every one of those services is commoditized, democratized, and AI augmented past the point where any single family office can really compete on it. The reporting is worse than a platform's. The research is slower than a model's. The deal access, the rising generation, going to their great schools, having great access, knowing technology, can reach probably venture deals that you can't. Run institutional grade analysis probably tonight. Hire world-class expertise by the hour from anywhere on earth, which is why inside the legacy family office, the next generation has quietly, whether I like it or not, stopped asking what the family office is for. They're starting to ask harder questions. Why do we need one at all? Now it seems like I'm making a counter argument to what I said. Stay with me. For the family office built on services, that question has no good answer anymore, because the only advantage left standing are kind of, I'm going to change that now to a 4. Speed, customization, integration, and privacy. We come back to that you cannot get anywhere else. Notice what they have in common. Not one of them is a service. They are properties of an institution. And the second a provider sells them to you, they're selling them to everyone else as well. Here's what it means for you and why your position is an enviable, but not inferior. The billion-dollar family office has to carry often a legacy payroll built for a scarcity era, while its own heirs question its existence. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a lot to cover. This is going to go hardcore into this subject. Like I've been building up on this too long. You get to skip the entire dead layer and build only the 4 things I mentioned that still matter natively from a blank sheet. With now the best tools in history. No legacy systems, no entrenched staff, no committee study that dies in legal review. Like they're renovating a museum. Right now I see certain families, they're building rockets. And here's how I test, one way any single family office, a billion-dollar institution, or one being born this year. Now I'm going to go back to 3 things that I've spoken about in my Peter Drucker-like practice management. First principles, speed, and bottlenecks. Does it reason from first principles, from how we've always done it, really? Can it execute at the speed today's world actually moves? Because speed matters more down now at any point in my career. And how many bottlenecks stand between information and action, no matter who you are? think of those things? How many approval loops, committee calendars, and sign-offs exist for comfort rather than function? Put the big, old, cumbersome family office through these three tests and watch many of them, not all, fail. Precedent instead of principles. Quarters instead of hours. Bottlenecks that they can't even see them anymore because they become institutionalized into the culture. Now put a smaller, nimble family office through them, built or rebuilt correctly, AI native. It reasons it better from first principles because it carries no precedent. It executes in hours because, well, nothing should stand in the way. It has no bottlenecks because I don't refuse to build them into anything, which leads to the sentence almost nobody in this industry will say out loud. There is a key use of words here. There is more potential in a $50 million family office built right now than a $1 billion family office built in 1995. The future belongs to the fast, not the big. And for the first time ever, 50 million is big enough because fast is just becoming the thing money can't easily buy. Now, I didn't really talk too much about intent. Really, that decides everything. Before a single entity gets formed, before a single dollar moves, the part almost every family skips. And the reason almost every family office under-delivers, here is the brutal truth about most family offices, including so-called famous ones. They are investment offices for one generation masquerading as multi-generational institutions. They have a balance sheet that may span generations and a purpose that expires with whoever built it. What's missing is intent. Intent is not a mission statement laminated for the annual meeting. Intent is it's a burning purpose that survives the founder, the magnetic force that aligns every generation, and the filter that should be applied to every decision, every hire, every investment. Intent is the difference between a family office and a family legacy. Before you build anything, your family answers 4 questions in writing, kind of in your own words. Why does this family office exist besides making money? What will make the third generation fight to keep it alive? Not tolerate it, fight. How does every decision made today serve a family 100 years from now? And which values are so core that violating them means you are no longer operating in this family's name? Weak answers produce a weak family office. No matter how elegant the structure, we're going to get to a little bit of that. Strong answers become the constitution everything else is built to serve. So many of you out there that are the levels of wealth I'm talking about, you're still incredibly successful. Having a single family office is available to you, and it could change everything relative to your legacy and the continuity in your family. And here's where this stops being simply philosophy and really becomes engineering. In the old world, intent lived in a document, of course, that nobody read, and in a founder's head, nobody could copy. In your family office, intent gets encoded into the investment policy the machine enforces on every proposed position. In the workflows that route decisions and your systems, your children actually learn on. Your values stop being a speech given once a year and become the operating logic applied consistently at machine speed to everything the family office does. AI doesn't dilute intent, by the way. AI is the first technology in history that can actually guard it, get intent right, and the rest is simply like execution. Skip it, and you're building a very expensive brokerage account with your name on the door. Like, one of the first things that changed my mind and really kind of structure as a strategy, I tell you several things that changed the facts. One that I promised I would come back to in A minute or two ago, I hinted at it. It's a little boring, but stay with me. A family office is a legal architecture before it is anything else. I want you to understand this section the way dynasties understand it, not as paperwork, but as strategy. The structure is actually a weapon. It transforms what could be chaos into control, taxes possibly into deductions. And think about it, there's always the opposites, right? Vulnerability into invincibility. I think back here in the US, and this has some relevance around the world for families. And by the way, not the Tuesday tomorrow, but the week after. Is that the 18th? I have on perhaps the best international attorney. He's based in Switzerland for European and really global families. So I love me talking about satellite family offices, structuring, all these issues that we're going to lightly touch upon now. And we're going to have Martin Michaels at Baker McKenzie from their Swiss office on next week. So looking forward to that. So lender management here in the US versus the commissioner. United States Tax Corps, end of 2017. The lender family, the Bagel family, ran a management company providing investment management services to the family's investment LLCs. I am simplifying some things. There's art and science, what we're going to talk about. So admittingly, I'm going kind of high level. The IRS took the position the industry kind of feared for years, that this is just a family managing its own money, mere investors, so the expenses are not deductible business expenses. Now, the tax court ended up disagreeing. And in disagreeing, it handed every wealthy family, not that it necessarily will apply to them, and aspects of this, as Martin will talk about next week, do apply to international families following a similar structure. It gave definitely American families a blueprint. The court held that the lender management company was operating as a genuine trade in business. Why? Well, primarily because it behaved like one. Its own staff, real continuous services, sourcing, diligence, monitoring, reporting, delivered to entities beyond a single individual. And critically, compensation through, and again, it gets a little complicated, profits, interest. It earned a share of the upside it created, the way any independent investment firm or some earns its keep. Not a family passively watching its money, a business serving clients who happened, in some cases, well, to share a last name, but definitely a legally defined here in the US bloodline. So why does this matter so much? Because of what happened kind of very soon around that time. The 2007 Tax Act suspending miscellaneous itemized deductions, meaning ordinary investment expenses became, for individuals, essentially kind of non-deductible. Every dollar spent managing wealth the passive way is now spent with zero tax benefit. But the expenses of a genuine trade or business remain fully deductible. Same activities, same dollars. As an individual, non-deductible bleeding, structured the lender way, a legitimate deductible operating business. At your scale, the difference alone, for some, maybe it's tens of thousands, maybe it's hundreds of thousands or more. Maybe once every couple of years, maybe every year. It depends. The tax treatment by itself may justify the build before we said a single word about anything else. And notice how the lender family actually operated, because there's a doctrine hidden inside the case that matters as much as the tax holding. They didn't hire everyone. They didn't do everything in-house. They ran selective outsourcing with the family controlling the process. The family decides, the family office, it directs, the family owns the architecture, and outside specialists are engaged deliberately on the family's terms for exactly what the outside specialist, which I do agree can still be needed, are best at. That's the model. Not no advisors. I never said that. Advisors on your payroll instead of on theirs. Control of the process is the product. Everything else is kind of really a staffing detail. The billion-dollar crowd built their lender compliant structures years ago and kind of said nothing. The blueprint was never the secret. It was just never offered to you. Now we're going to go into the kind of the stack inside this. Boy, I'm really letting you all into like the secret sauce here of single family offices. What I call maybe 5 entities, each with a job, not for complexity's sake, but sophisticated simplicity. And by the way, it may vary in terms of where you live. And even here in the US, this is part science, part art. What applied to the lender family was specific to them. And who knows, it was very nuanced and unique, and your situation could be very different. You need to deal with exceptional legal counsel that has deep experiences with family office structures, a variety of the structures we're now going to talk about, and do your own diligence. So the management company, as I noted, was kind of the command center and really the heart of the lender design. And like I said, real services, real operations, profit interest, compensation. But this entity kind of does 3 jobs at once. Think about it. Now, and bring it into today. It's where your AI systems really centralize. One brain serving every branch entity underneath it, or beneath it, the better word. It is where your intent is codified and the constitution your family wrote before anything was built, operationalized, and is your talent magnet, the home of even phantom equity. So the exceptional operator you hire participates in the upside they create, compensated like an owner, aligned with family without surrendering, in my example of the phantom, a single share of actual ownership. This is how a $50 million family, and part of it depends on liquidity and other factors, competes even for talent and doesn't need as much of it. Other things we'll go into at a different time, even with much larger family offices, not necessarily with more salary, but with better structure. So you also have the asset holding LLCs, segregated by asset class and risk, the operating business in one, the real estate in another, securities in a third. Why? Quarantine and flexibility. The lawsuit against one asset touches one entity, one flooded chamber that cannot sink the ship. And each entity can be financed, in theory, restructured, or sold on its own terms without disturbing anything besides it. We also have the holding company. One clean point of aggregation, even above the LLCs, your bird's eye entity, one consolidated view of that empire, one clean vehicle for acquisitions, and one entity, not 15, to transfer when succession comes. The difference between an estate transition takes a signature and one that takes a decade of litigation. Oh, I've seen that, is decided here, maybe decades in advance. How about the private trust company, the succession fortress? And this is where the establishment really doesn't volunteer much. Maybe at this scale, an unregulated private trust company in the right jurisdiction is not only accessible, it's frequently the correct answer at a cost that would shock many of you against what you're probably paying for institutional level trustees, your family's own trustee. Think about what that means. No more petitioning an institution to understand your family. No more trustee turnover, resettling relationships, every 5 years. No more court approval to adopt generational change. Control, without ownership, the crown jewel of the doctrine. The trustee of your family's trust becomes an entity your family governs forever. Your intent written into its DNA, the tool the oldest dynasties use. It was always available, just probably no one told you. And wrapping up the 5, the family foundation, really the legacy amplifier, and the most probably underused entity in the stack. Yeah, sure, it coordinates philanthropy with an overall tax strategy, fine. But its real job is, I'm going to say, transmission, the foundation where values meet practice and where the rising generation gets his first real command. Maybe a board seat with real capital and consequences. grant decisions that forced your children to articulate what the family actually stands for, and the safest arena to learn governance before the stakes are like the whole fortune. 5 entities, 5 jobs, 1 system. Your intent, back to that at the center, and your machine wired all through it. Engage, like I said, elite family counsel to build, not your golf partner with a law degree. Selective outsourcing. Remember, counsel works for your architecture on your terms, and the blueprint does exist. I've watched them built and stress tested around the world this for a long time. But hold the doctrine above the documents. The goal, well, not necessarily to own things, because ownership may make you visible, taxable, and suable. The goal is to control. Control makes you sovereign. Was it one of the Rockefellers? Oh, nothing. Control everything. The doctrine, sure, it's probably over a century old. What's new is that the machine to run it probably just dropped inside your budget. We're just getting started. And come on, some of you wanted to debate me on this. I did one with a prominent person 2 years ago, and I was a little newer in the debating space on it, and I think I did pretty well. But now I would love it. So now the heart of it, because a family office that doesn't command its investments, many of you are not going to look at that as it's not a family office. It's maybe a concierge desk with a tax ID. Managing the money, actually taking control of it, is not a feature of the SFO. To many, it is the point. And this is exactly where my old argument seems strongest. Serious investment requires an institution, the research department, the access, the sophistication, the internal team. Here is what people still making that argument haven't absorbed, and it changes everything. AI is crumbling the walls of investing. The moats are falling. All of them. Stay with me. Think about what the institution's advantages actually were. The real reasons you were told that you need them. The research moat. They had analyst floors, and you don't. Gone. The machine reads every filing now, every earnings call, every piece of research across your entire opportunity set overnight, and briefs you in the morning. You just don't know how to set up your AI like that. You got to come to my masterclass and be a member. They're 100 analysts versus your 168 hours. Oh, that wall is rubble. The information moat. Oh, they saw things first, mostly gone. The same data, the same speed, the same analytical horsepower. It's sitting at your desk. The sophistication moat. Man, am I burning every bridge? Luckily, I don't need too many sponsors. The sophistication moat, the modeling, the scenario analysis, the risk work that required a quant team, gone. You stress test against 1,000 scenarios while you sleep. Oh, the access moat. Private markets behind relationship gated doors, falling. I'll show you the breach in a moment. When the moats fall, something wonderful may happen. Investments, well, maybe they get simple again. And I want to say this as directly as I can, because the industry will hate it. I just don't know, like, if you need to complicate it. Sure, you want to build direct investing teams for massive real estate holdings, private credit, maybe things that you want to take more to other families, then yeah, you may need to build deep internal teams and resources. I would say AI will still be incredibly impactful to you if you know what you're doing. So am I showcasing for maybe a smaller family office how they could do things more simply and have maybe not 100% of the resources that maybe 4 years ago the biggest of the biggest families have, but man, I could probably get above 90%. It's all changing. So complexity was really never sophistication. Complexity was kind of like an invoice. Maybe every exotic structure, every product with a derivative, remember those, wrapped around it. every strategy you couldn't explain to your own children. That wasn't intelligence at work. That was often a fee justifying itself. And maybe for some families, with the right connections, deep understanding, there was some strategic and even tactical use of that. For some, what excellence actually looks like at 50 to 100 million, maybe a real investment policy statement and a clean asset allocation, like at least as the spine. Your IPS, investment policy statement, written specific, honest about your family's actual liquidity needs, time horizons, risk tolerance, etc. Your investment constitution, and here's what changed: the resources available to build genuinely world-class IPSs and even broadly, let's go with asset allocation today, are extraordinary. The best thinking on allocation, drawdown behavior, portfolio construction, once were kind of locked inside these institutions, is now open. And AI will help you draft it, pressure test it against decades of market history, argue with it, refine it until it's truly yours. And then the machine could help enforce it. Every proposed position interrogated against your own constitution before it ever reaches your desk. No drift, no fashion, no salesman's products of the month. A clean allocation you understand deeply enough to even, teach your children. Ruthless war on the 3 guaranteed leaks: fees, taxes, structural drag. Because at your scale, there's guaranteed returns, and guaranteed beats brilliant. Simple to describe. Almost nobody does it because every intermediary, kind of in the old system, was to some degree paid to make it complicated. And with that simple spine in place, the entire market could be yours, definitely public, but even private. Public markets, direct ownership, where it serves you, tax losses harvested position by position all year long, every holding watched around the clock, every decision recorded with its reasoning, so your judgment compounds across decades instead of resetting every cycle. Of private markets, the access moat kind of breached. You may no longer need a 2-and-20 structure and a 10-year lockup or a blind pool or fees on committed capital to reach private deals. Don't get me wrong. There are some incredible GPs and managers out there. Many of them are so big that even most sub-billion-dollar family offices can't get in. And even then, I'm not going to put all my money in there. Again, there's going to be exceptions for a percentage of the portfolio. And sometimes that level of scale of your family office and sophistication, that may be a good approach for part of your portfolio for some of you. But for smaller family offices, and I mentioned this earlier, talking about how the rising generation looks at the family office as different than a parents or grandparents, there's platforms, there's angel lists, there's sometimes you got to be careful in layers of fees, but SPVs and things that are changing for maybe sub-100 or $200 million families. Maybe you see the company, the terms and the lead, before a dollar moves, and you invest deal by deal on your judgment at your size, deal by deal conviction versus maybe a decade long of blind faith. It depends. And for the largest swings, well, how about the mini Berkshire move? Acquire directly the operating businesses that you understand, the property held in your structure, compounding without fee drag, exited when you decide, and engaging your rising generation. And when a fund's term sheet says, oh no, not when, or not out when the clock runs out. And when you transact, remember the doctrine from the lender family, selective outsourcing, with you controlling the process. The team is a deal time event, not a payroll line. Elite counsel, quality of earnings, really good accountants, an operator from your network who knows the industry cold, rented at their absolute best for exactly the weeks you need them. And then we could say sent home. Standing teams don't wait patiently for great deals. They find deals because their existence, maybe it demands it. That's how families could end up in mediocre transactions. Not bad judgment, but again, bad incentive architecture. Meanwhile, the machine does the diligence, grunt work that used to take an associate team perhaps weeks. Every document in the data room read, cross-referenced, every claim in the pitch checked against every number in the exhibits without fatigue, with no ego, very possibly overnight. Round it with a disciplined allocation, and we could get a little deeper into this in many, many different ways, but I don't want to make it strictly an investment conversation. Now, how about like a last advantage from this perspective? It might be the biggest one. Like from being a nimble single family office, how about you can move? The $1 billion family office, the multi-billion dollar, that's a super tanker. Committees to convene, positions too large to exit without moving a market if you're huge. Career risk attached in every decision. So what? No one decides. My 3 tests, first principles, speed, bottlenecks, could fail at that larger scale. You are a speedboat, my friend, with institutional grade radar. An opportunity that's meaningful to your family is invisible, probably at their minimums. You can enter in hours and sometimes exit in hours. You can be tactical. Lean into a dislocation, maybe this week. Set it aside next month with no investment committee to convince and no fund documents to amend. Nimbleness used to be the consolation prize for being small. With AI leveling the information field, nimbleness is now the whole prize. They know what you mean, but you can act on it by lunch. Step back and look at what you're holding. A simple, honest constitution, machine enforced, the full public markets, owned directly and watched around the clock. Private market, a little more selective, but deal by deal on your conviction, if you want. The largest positions acquired outright and compounded without carry. And the one thing that no institution can buy back at any price, the ability to move. That is isn't that institutional grade investing? You just did it without the institution and faster than the institution. Now, a big one, because I said there was kind of 2 lead things that made me adapt my opinion on smaller single family offices. The machine. Now the section everything really stands on. The second fact that killed my own argument, let me show you the machine, the technology, the AI, not the conference panel version that's garbage, the real one. And this is my specialty. I am not commenting on AI for family offices. My God, I hope you all know by now, I'm running it daily inside real family office ecosystems. Start with the plain question. What does AI can actually do in the family office? Overnight, while your family sleeps, the machine reads every filing, every earnings call, every piece of research touches anything you own or are considering. It reconciles the accounts across every entity in your structure. It checks every position against your investment policy. It watches your risk potentially across thousands of scenarios. By morning, it has a written intelligence brief like you're the president. What moved, what matters, and what does need a human decision today? During the day, it drafts the reports that used to take a week. It triages the correspondence. It reads the 300-page document in the deal you're considering and tells you where the bodies are buried. And when you need a tool that doesn't exist, this is going to get big. Wake up. Maybe a deal tracker built for exactly how you work. It builds it that afternoon. Now hear what I just described. Every one of these sentences used to be a salary. Several were departments. The payroll that I said earlier, those specific jobs is the reason the family office was reserved, and maybe rightfully so, a couple of years ago for billionaires. That is why even the sub $100 million family office, depending on multiple factors, is possible now and was not possible a couple of years ago. The minimum was payroll. The payroll is now software. The minimal is kind of gone. Let me take this one step further, because this is what I'm actually doing inside, operating systems that I'm working in live right now. And the part that shocks even some technologists, I hinted at it like 2 minutes ago, I am replacing some of the software industry inside investment operations and family offices. Context. Think about the other payroll nobody talks about. The vendor payroll, the subscription stack, the platforms every family office rents, reporting platforms, workflow, document platforms, each with a monthly invoice, each with renewal negotiation, a roadmap you probably don't control, customization limits, and your data sitting inside, their walls. That's not software really serving you. Sounds like vendor lock with a login screen. In the AI native family office, you have the potential, if you desire, to build instead of rent. The agents, the apps, it does this. I'm creating what many vendor platforms do, and families I know are, how these operations work, running on their infrastructure, holding their data, no vendor lock, no controlling me, no customization ceiling, because I'm the roadmap. And here's the economic punchline. I build it once, in theory. That's the end of my cost. No renewal, no per seat pricing, no price increases in January. The subscription era inside a family office is ending, and the families who see it first keep the difference forever. There's a second thing the machine does that no employee could. It kind of becomes the custodian of why. But think about just what I said. Software as a service, SaaS companies. You may think of this bigger long term with the advent of AI getting better every day, billions of AI agents coming on. And again, a year ago, I started building on Bolt.new, and then Cursor, and then 4.5 Opus came out. And then with that, effectively Claude Code. And now what I do in Codex. There are incredible platforms, like the greatest coder or among them on earth, Andrei Karpathy, basically said he barely touches code since December of 2025, like 7-8 months ago. You're kidding me. And it's never going to get worse than it is today. Now, sure, my AI books for my members, my multiple masterclasses like this week, my incredible instructors and my advanced peers that are building. And one of them I specifically know saving 6 figures on software. Is it more work to do initially? Sure. Is it going to be always as all powerful? Probably not. Are there things that could break down and now there's no one to call? I am not saying it's perfect. And sometimes renting is the best option for certain things or for some of you. But I want to have that optionality. And the fact that I like privacy and control. And this is not 5 years in the future. This is right now. And most of you know nothing about it. Okay. The most valuable asset a great family has, and I've been pounding this one in some of my lives lately, maybe after money, is judgment. Why you passed on that deal in 2003. How you read a counterparty across the table, what the crisis actually taught you. In a traditional family, that judgment has no custodian. It lives in heads and walks out with retirement, death, whatever. In your family office, it gets captured. Imagine how it happens. Every decision, every lesson written down with its reasoning in a form your AI reads and understands. The result is something no family really has ever had. More of a permanent memory you can talk to. Why did we structure the real estate deal this way? And get the actual answer without the reasoning or guessing from an actual moment. Your grandkid, maybe decades from now, asking your reasoning, getting your answer, a partner who has been with the family, I don't know, for decades, forget nothing and never retires. But here, the order of things. The technology is kind of the container. The judgment is the treasure. Ha. A family that starts writing down its why on legal pads this weekend is ahead of the family with perfect software and no habit of honesty. The machine just makes the habit permanent, searchable, and immortal. That is the end of generational forgetting. Doesn't that hit you? Now, the doctrine. The one rule governs how you build really all of this. Chamath Palihapitiya stated, you cannot rent intelligence from the same place that rents it to your competitor. Alex Cart, Palantir, serious institutions, to me, that's family offices, own the means of production. For a family office that compresses to 6 words, own the brain, maybe rent the horsepower. The brain is your data, your memory, your judgment encoded in a system, yours permanently. The horsepower may be the raw computing. Sometimes, depending on if you know how to do that and sanitized, rented, commodity, and sure, it could be replaceable by breakfast. Families who invert this will discover they outsourced the one thing no family can afford to outsource. Never outsource your thinking. In practice, 3 rules. Never trust one AI alone. Run a lead model and set a second, maybe a third, a rival lab against it, whose job, I call it fighting, battling, is to attack the first conclusion. One model tells you what it thinks. 2 other models are forced into disagreement to tell you perhaps why that's not true, why it's different, and how they would counter argue that. Put the routine work on rails. The daily grind runs automatically on schedule, improving every time the models improve, which is very frequently these days, and save the heaviest intelligence for the decisions that deserve it, and keep the most sensitive material on machines, metal that you own. The frontier's best models will always live in someone else's data center under someone else's policies. So the family's innermost picture runs on a private model, on hardware in your walls, reachable from you anywhere, and touchable, I would hope, by no one else. The ceiling, okay, that could be borrowed, but the floor is yours. No revoked account, no rewritten terms, no vendor decision can ever take your floor. The cost of it all sits within reach easily of every family watching this, a fraction of one's salary from the old model, which leaves the one hire that matters. Not, and I'm thinking a little future forward here. Again, some of you aren't going to like this. How do we hire for investments, operations, accounting? Maybe changing that or reframing that to maybe a better question. Who builds and runs the machine? A role most in this industry haven't really named yet, known as a forward deployment engineer. One technically very fluid person, maybe even in family, possibly within the own next generation. Maybe doesn't really do the work, but builds the workflows that do the work at your scale. This may be among the few full-time operational hires you make, and maybe worth multiple conventional ones. That is the machine, the thing that killed my own argument, running now at family scale for the first time in history. Now, I do have to talk in this kind of conversation relative to governance in 2 lines, and one of them is kind of dying. And I'm going to do this differently than probably every other governance panel that you sat through. because panels, to me, inside the family, start with committees. And committees, I think, are overrated. Quarterly parliaments, 200-page decks, nobody finishes, consensus that stands every bull idea down to a safe one. That's not governance. That's a bottleneck where prudence is clothing. So start instead with the first principles question. What is governance actually for? Is it for stewarding the two things your family has that compound? And here's the uncomfortable truth about how the traditional model treats them. The first is your capital, and your capital is magnificently governed. I'm making that assumptions, right? Trustees, custodians, auditors, investment committees, and an entire apparatus, millions in lifetime fees, all guarding the money. Your capital compounds. That's the whole design. And every quarter, a package arrives proving it. The second, is your judgment. The family's accumulated, like I said, ability to decide well. The pattern recognition that took 30 years and real losses, we all go through them to build. Now, name the apparatus protecting that. Who reviews it? Who audits it? Who is its trustee? In most families with 10-figure balance sheets, the answer is, drumroll, nobody. There is no system. There is hope that wisdom transfers, I guess, over dinners by osmosis. It just doesn't. Sorry. I've watched it not transfer for over 20 years. So most families are getting richer. And I've said this now a lot the last month. Most families are getting richer and less capable at the same time. But the reporting only measures the first one. Nothing in the quarterly package tells you whether the family's judgment grew this quarter, whether the next generation understands one more real thing than they did whatever in March, whether anything that lives in the founder's head made it out of the founder's head. Again, I said this a little while back, you measure what you treasure. And in this industry has trained families to treasure exactly one of the two things. It's better than none that matter. So your governance then does two jobs that traditional model does zero of. It makes decisions fast and it makes judgment compound. Velocity first. A decision needs three things, right? The right information, the right authority, and I'm going to go with a clock. The machine delivers the information. Every decision arrives pre-analyzed, scenarios modeled, the rival model's objections already on the table. So you design the other two. Routine operations below a threshold, machine executed. Human review, perhaps by exception. Give me a second. The middle band. Your operator decides inside 24 hours, strategic commitments, 48 hours, full analysis attached. Only the genuinely transformational gets 7 days and the whole family. And the rule that makes it real, a missed deadline is not a pause, it's an automatic escalation. Nothing dies in an inbox ever. Decide at maybe 70% clarity. Waiting for 90 is probably not rigor. Maybe it's more fear with a spreadsheet. And at the day's end, ask the question that separates serious operations from theater. Don't ask, what did you do today? Ask, what did you get done today? Because activity is not achievement. With the machine tracking every commitment to its conclusion, hiding behind, business stops being possible. Now, the second job, and the one no committee has, I guess I'll go with ever done, govern the judgment. Every meaningful decision gets recorded with its reasoning, like I said earlier. Not just the outcome. into the family's permanent memory, and the review habit changes accordingly. You review the reasoning, not necessarily the result. A good outcome from sloppy thinking is luck, and luck teaches nothing. A loss from sound reasoning is actually a tuition. And I would think a tuition should never need to be paid twice. And once a year, measure the second line, the one no advisor will put in your package. What does the rising generation actually control? Not attend, control. What decisions do they make this year that have real consequences? What did the family learn this year that is now written down somewhere outside one person's head? If those answers embarrass you, it's probably good. The embarrassment is worth more than the last performance report, because it's measuring the thing that decides whether there's probably going to be a fourth generation at all. One more thing. Since governance is ultimately about people, when you hire for mindset, I guess along with skill. My favorite question in this business, tell me about a time, well, of course, I'm going to ask this, that you replaced a workflow or part of what you did with technology. Tell me about, now, I could give you another one, but let's continue. The person with the real answer is your operator. The person offended by the question is probably part of the museum staff that you're being liberated away from. And notice the entire section really in my 3 test, applied. I go back again to first principles. Govern the 2 things that actually compound, not the ritual. Speed, hours, not quarters at every tier. And bottlenecks, a death blow to many families. Find every approval loop that exists for comfort rather than function. It's a great tip I just gave you. Every meeting that could have been a decision, and get it out of the way, every one of them. A $50 million family that decides in hours, compounds its judgment, holds an advantage no billion-dollar committee after committee will ever catch. Speed is what better information is for. Capture is what better decisions are for. And why not govern both lines? Now, I do have to say something. The enemies within your own gates. A warning, because the moment you begin this build, something predictable happens. Everyone around your money will try to talk you out of it. Your trusted advisors will tell you it's too complex, too risky, too ambitious for a family of only your size. Maybe, translate that sentence, we are about to lose our fee stream. I'm being a little cynical. Sorry. Your current providers, again, may be talented and well-meaning, and to some degree, you are going to need them. Banks, platforms, well, they may become more attentive, concerned for you, generous with warnings, offering at last the access they never offered you before because you're not a billionaire. Notice the timing. The system ignores you until you reach for the exit. And the third enemy, well, that's quieter. Your own program doubt. Decades of marketing have trained you to believe you need their permission, that families like yours don't do this, that the velvet rope is load-bearing. I know that voice well. I kind of helped to write the script back when I believed in the old math. Here's the truth that dissolves all 3. Every billionaire family office on earth started somewhere, and most started with less sophistication than you will have on day 1, because none of them started with the machine that I spoke about. The transformation isn't in the documents per se. It's in the posture. From consumer of financial system to controller of your own. Stop asking, is this allowed? Start asking, how do I optimize this? Stop thinking only preserving wealth. How about compounding a dynasty? And stop accepting industry standards. Start setting your family standards. The people who profit from your dependence, some of them may call this arrogance. Now, why now? 3 storms are converging, and like they're not really a neutral backdrop. Yeah, I'm getting out of my way because I'm probably not going to do a live for well over a week. Sorry, everyone. How about the intelligence revolution? The arbitrage we've covered. The windows where AI native families building advantages before the crowd catches up. Every arbitrage in history closed the same way when everyone else finally understood it. The trust collapse. Banks that fail on weekends, never happens. Advisors structurally conflicted. Institutions that treated your data kind of like their asset. You can be a casualty of the system's decay or an architect of your own exit. And control, like the control imperative. Wealth taxes on the table in serious jurisdictions. Unrealized gains proposals that were unthinkable just a couple of years ago. Capital controls, currency debasement, political volatility aimed squarely at families like yours. Against that landscape, a sovereign family is not a status symbol. It's a tough world out there, everyone. It's a survival architecture. And no, waiting is not neutral. Waiting is a decision, and often the worst one available. A year from now, without this, and other 7 figures surrendered. Your children a year older and not 1 hour more capable. The families who started a full year of their mindset and compounding. 10 years from now, that gap is not a gap. It's a different game. And someone in your family asked the question you least want to answer. Why didn't we do this when we could? So the one question that survives all analysis. If not now, when? What, when the fees are higher? When the regulations are tighter, probably happening? When your children are less teachable? When the window is closed? You will never be more ready than you are right now. The rising generation. Like, one more thing the current system quietly destroys, and the family office quietly rebuilds? Your children. Ask a principal about his heirs, and they'll answer, the kids are involved. But really? Involved means they maybe attend some family meetings. Involved means they're copied, perhaps, on a quarterly deck. Involved means, well, perhaps they have a seat, as my note says there. A seat is not the same thing as really wanting in. And your children know the difference, even when apparently you don't. Here's what I've actually watched across really hundreds of families. The rising generation almost never rejects the wealth. What they reject is the role that they've been offered inside it. Because in most families, that role is really often decorative. Show up, be briefed, nod, don't break anything. And wait, and wait, and wait. And wait for what? Essentially, reality, probably a death. That is the implicit career path in most kind of generational family and family offices. Your job is to await for your inheritance responsibly. And then the parents are generally shocked when a bright, capable 30-year-old finds the arrangement suffocating and pours him or herself into like anything else, a startup, a foundation, maybe a life 3 time zones away. It's not really disengagement. It's actually a rational response to kind of a broken offer. I've watched both versions up close. Imagine this one. One family. The heir's 38. 10 years on the investment committee. Never once had final authority over anything. Can recite the portfolio in his sleep. Has never decided when the transition comes, and it almost feels like it always comes suddenly. He, in my example, will hold assets he has observed but never operated. That family transferred a balance sheet, and they're calling that a succession. Now, we'll go more cheery. Another family, the daughter, will make her younger, 26, was handed a real allocation, not play money, real with real consequences, and a real mandate. And her father in the room afterward, not to overrule her, but to interrogate the reasoning. Not was the outcome good, was the thinking sound. 10 years of that, she isn't waiting for anything. She is the most capable allocator probably in that family, including the generation above her. When her transition comes, nothing will actually transfer except a title because the capability moved years ago. Same wealth, same love. I got you. Nobody in the first family was negligent. The difference was architecture. One family built a waiting room. The other built a training ground. In your family office, the training ground is the design. And the curriculum, as I'm describing it in my example, like it has ages, I don't know, 16 to 18 mock portfolios with real-time feedback from the family's own systems. Learn by doing, not by watching a presentation once a year. 18 to 22, maybe leading machine-assisted diligence on live transactions, managing a real asset with real numbers, defending proposals to the family. 22 to 30, the proving ground, the real domain with genuine responsibility for the result. Transactions sourced and executed, God forbid, end to end. A seat earned through performance, never granted by birthday. Because you know this from your own life. Nobody ever fell in love with a business by observing it. And this is where everything collapses into one point. The judgment being captured in your family's permanent memory. The heirs are the only place really it could ultimately go. Judgment doesn't transfer into a trust. It transfers into a person, or it dies with the person who had it. The heir handed real decisions with real stakes early, while the elders are still alive to coach the reasoning that heir engages, not because you're demanding loyalty. That's travel the world in any country. It doesn't work. Because you finally gave them something. How about you gave them something worth being loyal to? The next generation, no, don't give them a seat, but they should be given capability. You do have that responsibility. And let capability earn that seat. We're almost done. Your number in the room. Your capital will probably be fine. Truly, the money is the most protected, professionally managed, most redundantly safeguarded thing in your entire world. Nobody, kind of needs to worry about the money, at least short term. What's at risk is everything the money can't buy back once it's gone. The judgment compounding instead of dying. The children choosing this family's work instead of escaping it. Those two things are one thing, and they don't survive by default. They survive by architecture, built deliberately early, while the people who hold the wisdom are still there to hand it over. The greatest family offices are not defined by their assets. I go to the other word I said. I think they're defined by their capability, the quality of their decisions, the speed of their execution, the strength of their people, the clarity of their purpose, the adaptability of their systems, and the capability of the family itself. Everything in this argument, intent, lender and the five entity stack, the falling moats of investing, the machine governing both lines, the training ground, every piece exists to raise your family's score on those 6 dimensions. AI absolutely amplifies capability. Governance preserves it, and culture compounds it. So I'm going to say where this ends in 2 steps. Step 1, what I call learn your number. I built an instrument called a continuity index, 44 questions, 440 points, your family office, even if today it's you, one advisor and a spreadsheet, scored honestly against the 6 capabilities. It will show your 2 weakest capabilities where the disproportionate gains actually are hiding. And it will show the strength, even concealing a weakness. The 8 probably sitting next to a 3. And I'll tell you what I see across like practically every cohort. Capability of the family is where the strongest balance sheets in the world routinely post their weakest number. Go find out where yours lands. Go to my website, angelorobles.com. You'll see the continuity index. 20 minutes, it's free. Anyone can learn their number. Now, step 2, only a member can change it. Everything I described, the doctrines, the structures, the architecture, the playbooks, exist in built, documented, operational form inside my private intelligence and strategy community, SFO Continuity. Really, the operating system for the modern family office. Membership puts it all in your hands. Both of my living books that every 3 weeks, over 600 pages in total, I update. The AI native single family office and 10 things every family office should be doing now in AI. My executive playbook, updated every few weeks as the frontier models move. Because a printed book about AI is, oh my God, that's obsolete before the ink dries. You even get my family office playbook, 850 questions framework. Now, I got 700 pages, more PowerPoint format, so it's visually pretty. Something called a complete top 1% family office operating system. Oh, it's a big one. I spent decades building it, and this summer I restructured about 20% of it, and probably into the fall, getting it ready for later this year into next year, a little bit more AI. But a lot of the things I spoke about here, just in more granular detail in various playbooks I created. And for my members, that update is going out later this August on that. And we will be doing maybe more digital, but master classes on that subject, and effectively this subject as well, because I've been getting people that have reached out. And absolutely AI, of course, from what I discussed tonight, having a family office that could do more with less, better, and faster, with lesser resources than ever before, and be nimble and likely better than a larger family office was effectively impossible. I think it might have been impossible 9 months ago. It was definitely impossible 3 to 4 years ago. Everything that you know, everything is changing. Everything. And I did mention the master classes. I do multiple AI family office master classes in person, immersive, the greatest instructors, and you build. I don't care if you're 81, you will be building. We're going to do it this week, Wednesday and Thursday, August 12th and 13th. The next one, November 4th and 5th. I do roundtables, dinners, soirees, a 4-day forum in Palm Beach. I'm busy. Now, what makes this room different? Every other room, most every other room, like the industry of the family offices, is free. The conferences, the bank symposiums, the sponsored summits, because A lot of people in that room are trying to sell you. Yes, this one costs money to join and be a member because it's special. Look at the testimonials with real names from real principals and executives up on my website. One of the very few programs that has a very limited, only at my forums, one or two sponsors, and never at my AI Family Office masterclasses. Now, the reasoning behind it and building peer to peer, nobody should build this alone. Everything in this session, the structure, the machine, the training ground gets built faster and better besides families, maybe a few steps ahead of you, and also right at your side, comparing what actually works. And that is what I built at SFO Continuity. Not an audience. I don't care about size or scale. A community of builders and doers. The experts will keep insisting the family office starts at $1 billion, and let them. I made that argument probably better than they did for years, and I was wrong. Their argument was always about really effectively about the price of intelligence, and they haven't noticed the price collapsed. Stop waiting for permission to control your own destiny. Don't outsource your thinking. Take control of your money, and deeper than that, your wealth. Build the machine, learn your number in my continuity index, and then come join and change it. You don't need to build or do this alone. Join the incredible families around the world that are doing it. And like I said earlier, the question to internally ask, if not now, when? When? I do look forward to seeing many of you inside. Everyone, I'm Angelo Robles. I mean, come on, whoa, an hour and a half on a solo without enough water. I talk a little too damn much. I got to see if I could write something like this into a concise 5 to 7 pages. I mean, even my AI books, both of them now, over 300 pages each. There's just so much. Like that fire hose is coming. To me, it's just such an exciting time. I had a good time this summer. There still is time to go, but the world is changing so quickly. AI, since if I count June 1st, it's like not even in the same ballpark. The last masterclass I did, June 23rd and 24th, seems almost antiquated. My mindset and my skills compound. I want to learn and I build. That's what helped me the most, because the models and some of the capability in building is now incredible. Incredible. This is such a special time. Some very nice comments for a change, by the way. Who's the person that said, "You remind me of Chuck Norris"? One, I take that as a tremendous compliment. Chuck, and rest his soul, well, he was better looking than me, even in his later years. I mean, I'm 60. I'm a pretty old guy myself. And more well-known and I think wealthier. When I was in Austria about a year ago, I did have my black Stetson cowboy hat and 2 people. So I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the beard or my voice, but I don't have his handsome face or the blonde hair, at least back when he was younger. But thank you so much. That's one of the best compliments you could give me. I greatly appreciate it. Giovanni, my friend. He states, let's debate politics and its impact on wealth, the economy, and markets. Giovanni is awesome. He was on my digital platform maybe 2 summers ago. I got my timer still here, Giovanni. I don't think it's moved since our last debate. I was actually pretty strict about it, but better in person at Uncorrelated, primarily in the Cayman Islands in November, about 8 months ago. Man, we had a grand time. Giovanni's very smart. He's very tough competition. He's wrong like about everything, but besides that, he's a great guy. Let's see what else here. Well said, Angelo. Thank you. I mean, come on, I'm usually used to hearing all bad stuff. Like this is good. Uh, okay, thank you, Olivia. It's very kind as well. So listen, I came out here tonight a little bit hot. Apparently, now a little over an hour and a half solo. I had a lot to say, and I mean every word of it. And there's even certain things on investing that I cut back, or we'd be here for 3 hours. So I really mean it. And even 2 years ago, when I started to think this, and I did a version of a debate, like, no, you do not need $1 billion to have a single family office. I laid out most reasons. Some of them I'm going to maybe keep for a debate tonight. And really think about it. Maybe you would feel otherwise because you're conflicted. You don't want it to be that way. I mean, I get caught in echo chambers and I get conflicted too. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes every day. What a surprise. But yes, especially on this subject, if you want to debate me on this, oh, it's my dream. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'll learn. It would help if you're, pretty prominent, maybe in the MFO or the industry. We don't have to 100% disagree. Maybe you partially disagree. Giovanni will tell you I'll kind of be nice, but if I'm too nice, it's boring. Like we have to yell at each other just a little bit. But I'm going to have a lot of facts. I've been in this industry a long time, and some things I held back from or didn't even discuss tonight. And yes, I'm going to stand by that quote. Someone's challenging me on it now. No one cares or should care. What's wrong with you if it is not the case? No one cares about your money like you. That doesn't mean you're the best person or replace money with wealth. But you should educate yourself and take responsibility for the decisions that you make internally or externally. And I know people in the industry, I love many of you. You're awesome. Some of you better than others. But I think maybe it's better for a family and a family office to deal with it from the perspective of understanding the framework. The foundation that I have is as my own family office, and then strategically, you want to say the word tactfully, outsourcing. Now, for some people, I've recommended to some billionaires when I learn about them or their family situation, their desires, their goals, their interest, their lack of leadership or this or that, do not build a family office. You are better off going in a different direction because this is going to take a level of time, money, commitment. Yeah, there might be some hiring and firing of leadership and management. So not everyone is going to be cut out for this as a family. I would 100% agree with you on that. But when you have a family that has the capability or wants to learn, oh boy, and they have the resources, and like this is why I get some blowback in the community, because it feels like they don't like what I have to say. Well, what a surprise. I wonder why. I'm not in it to be loved or liked. I guess we all want to be respected for our knowledge and our passion. Sure, I'm human, right? Like I gave up looking to be liked probably about 3 to 4 years ago. Like I'm not social enough and I'm a little too blunt. And some of my takes on geopolitics and macroeconomics, investing in AI, and it's like I just have to let it rip. The greatest compliment I get is from members to say, I fundamentally disagree with you on a variety of topics. I respect your thought process, the effort you put in, and that you help get me out of an echo chamber, even though maybe 9 out of 10 times I'm still going to do what I'm doing, but you caused me to think a little differently, and I really do appreciate that. Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I got a busy week. I'm kind of a glorified rural-esque now. I'm not in Wyoming. I'm in kind of rural Connecticut. So it still is a little bit of a journey, a little bit, to get into New York. It'll be hot and humid. I look forward to it. In June 23rd and 24th, we had up to 20 to 21. We'll probably have 12 or 13 in August. It is August. I've been pounding it for a week. Now, technically, it's not too late. On Wednesday, you could still jump in pay and make it to New York, and we'll see you by 8:30, of course. I told you, and not enough of you took me up on it. I could change your life with what I could do, my instructors, and shocking you with your own internal capability and your ability to build before the summer's over. Now, even if you don't take me up this Wednesday and Thursday, August 12th and 13th, and yes, I've had people come in on 24-hour notice before, call me, go to my website, join, poof, I get the note, the email, you're in. You would still get value by joining, even if it's during then or after then. You're still going to get the one-on-one for multiple hours with me, all my content, my 2 books. You'll join me at my September forum, possibly Vienna in October, and AI Masterclass, better than ever, November 4th and 5th, and then again first quarter in Florida for the first time outside New York, with a tiny chance, one of my members hosting me late September, October in Montana and doing something there. You just have to reach out to me. Now, yes, you have to join. That is the seat. So go to angelorobles.com, learn more. I updated much of the website the last 2 weeks. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you. Giovanni, you're so awesome. Like, I haven't seen you. Like, I saw you in LA around Uncorrelated during Milken. Giovanni, going like 3 months without seeing you. It feels like it's just too long, my friend. We each need to give each other political angst. Why not? But get each of us out of an echo chamber. I would prefer to debate more the subject that I'm talking about tonight, but we definitely have to do something in person, if not digital, sooner rather than later. And thank you, by the way, for your kind words. I do appreciate it. Everyone, I'm keeping you all up too late if you're watching this live. I am now going to relax. I have a busy week, my AI Family Office Masterclass. I appreciate all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, I don't wear this pocket square too much. But it's maybe getting a little too late here on the East Coast and getting some interesting comments. But I'm feeling the love, which is not something I'm used to feeling, by the way, in my chat or with people. They say I'm too blunt, too direct. I mean, I'm probably nicer than what some people think I am. Oh, well, let me not ruin my own reputation. Thank you all, everyone. Have a great night. Some of you I'll see in New York this Wednesday and Thursday, and others I'm sure you're going to jump on in, and I'll see you sooner rather than later. Thank you so much.